So children, last time we have been talking about the trend in periodic trends in properties. In the periodic trends in properties, that is I believe heading number 6, I think it is heading number 7. So in heading number 7 we have been doing periodic trends in properties. I'll just quickly remind you what we have done. Trends in periodic trends trends in periodic trends in properties. I'm sorry, periodic, this is not writing properly. Periodic trends in properties. In that we have been talking about point A, physical properties. And in the physical properties, what you have done, number 1, atomic radii, correct. Number 2, we have done the trend in ionic radii. Then number 3, we have discussed the ionization enthalpy, and then after that, number 4, we have talked about electron gain enthalpy. Now the last one in the physical property, number 5, that will be the electronegativity. So number 5, electronegativity. Now what is electronegativity? When you see the definition, we define it as the power of an atom to attract electrons towards itself in a molecule is called as electronegativity. I repeat, the power of an atom to attract electrons towards itself in a molecule is called as electronegativity. Now how do you think about it? The point is this: suppose here is an atom of A and here is an atom of B, and let's say they are sharing a pair of electron. Now the point is this: they belong to two different elements, so their ability to attract electron cloud will not be the same. So let's say the A pulls the electron more towards itself than B, although they are sharing, but the better share of the electron cloud has gone to A. So in that case, I will say A is more electronegative than B. It may so happen that you have another molecule in which A has combined with C. This is A and this is C, and this time when they are sharing the pair of electrons, is C which has taken the more share of the electron cloud. Now in that case, I will say C is more electronegative than A. So that is why when two atoms of different elements are sharing a pair of electron, the sharing of the electron cloud will never be equal. One atom will be able to pull the electron clouds more towards itself. That will be called as more electronegative than the other. That is why electronegativity is defined as the power of an atom to attract electrons towards itself in a compound is called as electronegativity. Is it okay? So that is what is called as electronegativity. Now electronegativity, obviously it will depend upon what all factors. The first and foremost thing that will matter, the factors that will matter will be atomic size. The atomic size is one factor. The second thing that will matter, the nucleus which will be pulling the electron cloud, the nuclear charge. Another thing that will matter is the shielding effect. If the shielding effect is more, then the attraction from the nucleus is less. And another thing that matters is atomic size, nuclear charge, shielding effect, and of course the electronic configuration. For example, sodium might be a small atom comparatively as compared to, let us say, bromine, but sodium has got only one electron in the outermost shell, so he will never be interested in pulling an electron. But bromine is much bigger than sodium, but bromine, it has got 7 electrons in the outermost shell, so it will always try to pull the electron cloud from the other fellows. So that is why it also depends upon the electronic configuration. Now what will be the trend? Let's see, in the normal elements, what happens is, as you go down the group, what will happen? Size of the atom will go on increasing. So distance between the nucleus and the shared electron will become more, and distance between the nucleus and the shared electron, when it becomes more, the attraction will become less. So power to pull the electron cloud will become less, and therefore electronegativity down the group will decrease. It will decrease. But when you go across a period, I am talking only up to halogen group, up to group 17. Group 18 question doesn't arise because it usually doesn't form bond with others. So pulling electron from others or giving better share of electron to others, question does not arise. So when you go across, so what will happen? In a particular period, the size of atom will be gradually decreasing. Another thing is the nuclear charge also will gradually increase, and therefore what will happen? The power to attract the incoming electron will become more, and therefore electronegativity will increase as you go from left to right. Is that clear? So I repeat the trend: down the group, atomic size increases, distance between nucleus and the incoming electron become more, attraction from the nucleus becomes less, and electronegativity decreases. But across the period, the atomic size goes on decreasing gradually. Also nuclear charge becomes more and more, like sodium has got 11 protons, magnesium has got 12 protons, aluminum has got 13 protons, so it will go on increasing, and as a result the power to pull the electron cloud will become more, and that means the electronegativity will increase across a period. Now this electronegativity is a comparative term, so you can compare A is more electronegative than B, or C is more electronegative than A, like that you can talk, and therefore it is since it is a comparative term, we do not associate any unit with that, right? So when you make a comparison, you just say this is better than that, that is better than this. It's like this, you just put the number. Now there is a scientist Pauling. There are many people, Pauling, Millikan, they all had studied this electronegativity aspect, and it is Pauling, he had done a lot of study on the bonding that every atom is involved in, the chemical bonding that every atom is involved in. Then he also studied their atomic size and the nuclear charge. On the basis of that, he gave a table in which he said the most electronegative element in the entire periodic table is fluorine. Fluorine is the most electronegative element in the entire periodic table, and he gave the value of fluorine to be 4. Is that okay? So fluorine is the most electronegative element in the entire periodic table. And if you are curious to know which is the next element after fluorine, next element is oxygen. It has got electronegativity of 3.5. Then after that it is chlorine. It has got electronegativity of 3. Then after that it is bromine, 2.8. So like that the electronegativity was discussed. And there is one more thing I want to tell you which is not there in your textbook, that is the least electronegative element in the periodic table is cesium. Cesium electronegativity is 0.79. You can say roughly about 0.8. This is the least electronegative element in the periodic table. Everybody will talk about which is the most electronegative element, which is fluorine with electronegativity value of 4 in Pauling scale. But least electronegative element, if somebody asks you, you must know it is cesium with a value of 0.79. Is that okay? So with that, I think we are through with the electronegativity, and we also are through with the trend in periodic transient properties in the physical properties. Now we start with the periodic transient properties for the chemical properties, that is point B. Point B, when you talk about the chemical properties, so it's point B, chemical properties. So in chemical properties, the first and foremost thing that we will talk about is valence. Now the first and foremost thing, what is valence or valency? It is the ability of an atom to form bond. Am I right? So it indicates the number of bonds an atom can form with others. That is what is called as valence. But valence is also defined another way. That is, it is a number of hydrogen atom or any other univalent atom one can combine with. It is a number of hydrogen atom or any other univalent atom an atom of an element can combine with. I'll tell you what I mean by this. Now, if you ask me, they first talked about hydrogen, but hydrogen need not combine with everybody, so it can be any other univalent element. Like for example, sodium, it combines with only one hydrogen, so valency of sodium is 1. But if you ask me carbon, it combines with 4 hydrogen, so valency of carbon is 4. But suppose you talk about some other element which is not combining with hydrogen, then you have to say with how many univalent atom it may combine. Let us say for example calcium, not that calcium cannot form bond with hydrogen. Calcium, it combines with fluorine. Fluorine is univalent, and or chlorine, which is also univalent, and it forms with fluorine, CaF2. So it is combining with 2 fluorine, and therefore valency of calcium is 2. So valency of sodium is 1, valency of carbon is 4, but valency of calcium is 2. So valency is defined in this manner. I'll just tell you the actual definition of valency, that valence of an element may be defined as the combining capacity of an atom of the element, or it can be defined as, which I told just now, as the number of hydrogen atoms or any other univalent atoms which can combine with an atom of the given element. Okay, and now you'll ask me, this valence, it will depend upon what? It mainly depends upon the outermost, it depends upon outermost electronic configuration. Is that clear to you? It mainly depends upon the, or in fact totally depends upon the outermost electronic configuration. And that is the reason what happens is, I am talking about the normal elements. So in case of normal elements, when you go down a group, so you will find they all have the same outermost electronic configuration. Like group 1, they all have got configuration of ns1. So they all will lose 1 electron and form only one bond with a monovalent element, with whoever it is, and therefore the valency will remain the same. But if you go across a period up to group 17, 18, the question of valence does not arise. So when you go there, so you will find the valency will go on increasing from 1 to 4, and then it will decrease from 4 to 1. I hope if you study the electronic configuration, you will understand. Sodium, ns1, so 1 electron it loses, so its valence is 1. Magnesium, ns2, it loses 2 electrons, valence is 2. Aluminium, ns2 np1, it loses 3 electrons and valence is 3. Silicon, ns2 np2, it may combine with, it may share these 4 electrons with others, and therefore it will have valency of 4. Then after that, if you think of silicon, then after that if you think of phosphorus, ns2 np3. So what will happen in that case, ns2 np3, so it will have more tendency to gain 3 electrons, and therefore it will show valency of 3. Not that it doesn't show other valences, The next one, sulfur, it will show valency of 2, and then chlorine, it will show valency of 1. So it first increases from 1 to 4 across a period, and then it decreases from 4 to 1. Of course, there are some exceptions. All right. Now, if you ask me in the transition elements, that is D block elements, well children, you must remember that D block elements, they can show the variable valences. What is the reason? Because the electrons enter in the d orbital, and the d orbital, from there the electron can be shifted. I'll just tell you one case. Say for example, say Fe 26. So configuration is ns2 n minus 1 d6. This is the configuration. So this is ns2, and then n minus 1 d6, 1 2 3 4 5 6. Now what happens is, if these two electrons goes, then it will show valency of 2. Correct? If these two electrons and this electron goes, then it will show valency of 3. But after that, one by one can go and shift the electron, and then it can show valency of +4, +5, +6, like that. Of course, they are not very common, but it can show variable valences. Is it clear to you? So in D block elements, because they can shift the electron from s orbital to d, and in d there are many orbitals, so one by one electrons can be shared or lost, and hence they can show variable valences. Is it okay? So with that, I think we are through with the valence of the elements. The next thing that we will be talk about is metallic and non-metallic character of an element, and that I will discuss in my next video lecture. Is it okay, children? Thank you. Thanks a lot. God bless you.